starting to rain. Look at this. It kind of looks like the apocalypse behind us. But we are heading over to the movies to go check out X-Men Apocalypse, the critically acclaimed film that came out this weekend. And we just missed this, as if it's some sign of God not to go to this movie. And as I say that, it only comes down harder. Has anyone seen Storm lately? What the heck? This is illegal. Mary and I are sitting in the very front section of the movie theater because it's so packed behind us in all of those seats. We didn't want to sit with the rest of the commoners in the cheap seats. We moved up to the first class section in this movie.
Nobody's here.
They're continuing to have technical difficulties here at this theater. The movie was supposed to start 24 minutes ago. Instead, now we're looking at like a PowerPoint slide on the screen. At least, apparently this is not illegal. Just the screen before. Well, we just saw this. I'm going to just say this because I'm not necessarily going to say it was really even a good movie. But we'll get more into that when we get back home. Alright, we are back home after seeing X-Men Apocalypse. What we're going to do this time around that's a little bit different than other videos is that we're going to give a rating to the movie, and then we're going to do a review based off of spoilers. There's no way to review this movie without being able to give some spoilers here, so if you don't want to see the spoilers, check out the numerical review at least, and then we'll tell you when you can cut off. So on that note, we're going to go to Jesse first. Out of 5.
3.
3 out of 5?
Mm-hmm.
What does Eddie give it? Too late. On the Mary scale, which, by the way, we spent the last couple of days at MegaCon where they were hyping the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, Part 2. And thinking about that, Part 1 is when the Mary scale was formed, for folks that have not been around that long.
That's funny.
And it was formed because we got out of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie and we asked Mary what she thought the rating was, and she said like 4, 4.5.
She said 5.
And
Oh, I think I said 5.
maybe something like that. It was
I
like,
said 5.
what are we talking about?
Insert
So,
clip here.
Mary has a habit of overrating movies, so we've affectionately called that the Mary scale.
Yeah, I know.
So what do we have today?
I'll give it a 2.5
2.5 on the Mary scale.
on the Mary scale.
Well, that was hard.
Okay. So Jesse has a 3. We got a 2.5. I give this 1/2 of a star
What?
out of 5. So that is our overall ratings. I'll take that for what it is. And on that note, we're going to enter into spoiler land. If you don't want to see any spoilers or hear spoilers, check out the next videos or watch some of our older ones. Alright, so we're going to talk a little bit about the movie and the meat and potatoes of it. What did you like? What didn't you like?
Well, if you've never seen an X-Men movie at all, ever before,
If you lived under a rock.
if you lived under the rock, it wasn't so bad. You know, and if you don't follow the comics and it was just your first movie ever in that realm, it wasn't so bad. It was actually pretty okay. But since we've seen like all of them, and then I know the timelines of certain things from being with you for so long, it is so off.
What did you think? We're going to get a 2-for-1 review here.
Think what?
What did you like? What you didn't like?
What I liked were the people.
Quicksilver.
Yeah. What I didn't like was the time. Like how everything was off.
Okay. So Mary and Jesse both mentioned the timeline aspect of the movie. And I will preface this by saying I did not like the original X-Men movies that were made, like the X-Men, X2, X3. I was not a fan of those movies, and the reason being is that when these movies first started coming out, prior to like Marvel Universe, which also is guilty of the same thing, but on a lesser degree, timeline and continuity with comics is completely thrown out the window with these X-Men movies. The characters that are in this movie, it's juxtaposed all over the place, and I realized that, we had kind of like an origin movie in there with X-Men First Class. To me, X-Men First Class, best X-Men movie made yet. And even saying that, still kind of off a little bit with some of the characters. For those that don't know the history of the X-Men, we have kind of like the classic or original version, and you had the newer version that was reborn in the 80s. Bryan Singer, I just am not a fan of the way that he has treated this franchise. And the characters and the continuity to tie back to the comics. And I realize it's two different things, because there's folks like her and folks like her that have never read the comics themselves. But that said, we have in this movie introductions of characters like Cyclops. We're introducing Cyclops as a new character, and this is after the disrupted storyline, obviously, with Days of Future Past, which is a little difficult. But in the Days of Future Past timeline, where we kind of left off things, at least we saw Jean Grey and we saw Wolverine at the end of the movie. In this movie, Cyclops, a brand new character being introduced, ironically bringing, kind of tying in with his older brother Havoc, being introduced also. Angel is kind of an existing character, but we're introduced to kind of like the Archangel character build. And Jean Grey also kind of introduced as a new character in the movie, at least, or maybe an existing student, but not introduced with her original powers, and introduced immediately or alluded to throughout the film as kind of being the Phoenix character, which, fans of the comic series know that doesn't come until a much later time, when we have the break with the classic X-Men versus the new X-Men. It completely takes me out of the movie when you start going from timeline to timeline to timeline. Characters that they did introduce that I did like was Nightcrawler, and I think Jesse liked Nightcrawler a lot. She was saying it in the car.
Oh, yeah.
He was funny. Blue.
Yeah, I like the joke where they're like, "Oh, you're not blue anymore," and then he's like, "I'm blue."
Yes. So, I'm not familiar with the actor that was playing Nightcrawler. I thought that they did a very well job. Very well. A very good job. He was portrayed very well. However, when we get into new timeline continuity, and you have Nightcrawler, and even if you had Phoenix and you had Cyclops, obviously Wolverine, big component missing in the movie until midway through the film, where the Weapon X version of Wolverine is introduced. Looked like, to me, it was just kind of ridiculous acting from Hugh Jackman. And then there's a line in there where he said, they basically say, when he leaves, like, "I hope that's the last we see of that guy." And I literally, I wanted to throw the popcorn up in the air and just walk out of the movie theater. It was so bad. But the other character that is, the only thing I thought was really, really missing, we just had a phenomenal movie in Deadpool in the movie theaters, and Deadpool was partnered up with one of the few characters that they could muster out of the X-Men in Colossus. And he's not even in the movie.
Nope.
At all.
Not even
Never mentioned. And he is one of the newer gen, or the break from the classic to the new X-Men characters. What a swing and a miss. I don't understand how you could do that with the same movie house and have continuity issues and leave out a character that you just made into a star via the Deadpool franchise. What a swing and a miss. What a. The character that they did hype up into like the big character in the film is actually the one that Jesse likes the most, and I think it was done mostly because girls, they want to draw in a female audience. I mean, the character's very likable.
He's very, very likable.
And who are we talking about?
Evan Peters.
Evan Peters as
Everybody.
Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Yes. Quicksilver in the comics, obviously not the same Quicksilver that we see in the movies, and not the same that we've seen that died in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He's pretty.
He's pretty, but you know, such a minor character in X-Men. You know, and then we're talking about like and we want to talk about minor characters brought into the spotlight of being major characters. It goes without saying that Mystique, Jennifer Lawrence, I think because they have her as the star, you know, landed in the franchise still at this point. What a scrub character to me in the comics, and to make her out to be leading the X-Men and taking charge and training people, and it's an abomination.
What is abomination?
Just horrible.
Really?
Yes.
So
it's just absolutely.
Does that mean the abominable snowman is just bad?
Yes.
Really?
He's a bad guy.
What? Oh.
He's not the happy-go-lucky dude from Christmas movies.
No, I thought it was from Monsters Inc. where like they give snow cones.
Yeah, that's true too.
That's Nightcrawler.
Okay, so we have a picture of Nightcrawler without.
He's pretty nice looking too.
Without the makeup.
Oh, yeah.
So in any event, it's all over the place. You know, things. Olivia Munn as Psylocke. It's like a cardboard acting job. Storm.
Storm was pretty cool. She shaved her head for the movie.
Which is the way the character is in the comics at that point. New, you know, kind of like the second gen of Storm at least.
Mm-hmm.
But I gotta also talk about Oscar Isaac. So, you know, we just saw Poe Dameron.
Oh, okay.
He was Poe Dameron in The Force Awakens. And, you know, now obviously is Apocalypse, and, you know, spends half the movie looking like with his eyes like half closed. Like, hey, man,
that's what it looks like in the movie.
I just did some major drugs, man. I'm Apocalypse. Check it out. I could totally destroy the universe just by doing things.
Yeah, he was sleeping for like.
Yeah, he was sleeping for like 2,000 years, and the rest of the movie is still just like this. Just watch.
Just waking up.
I'm totally Apocalypse. Horrible. I was just like, oh my god. Like, you know, the acting is horrible from him. The special effects in the movie are horrible. There's things that, you know, I mean, I go into movies and I've always been told you got to suspend disbelief, which is fine. You
what
know,
does that mean?
You know, you're watching a movie. It's not reality, right?
It can be real. How do you know that?
It's funny because when we were in the car, we went with Jesse and Jesse's friend, and the things that pop out are, you know, like things that I thought, and I just kept my mouth shut, you know, but they were calling out the same things too. Like, they're flying in a plane that's going into a magnetic storm. Magneto is literally destroying the entire Earth with everything, you know, magnetic being pulled into this vortex. But they can fly a plane 10 feet away from the guy.
And nothing happened.
Because the plane must not be made out of metal. Which, by the way, they find a plane in a hangar that just happens that, you know, they're like, hey, check it out. There's flight suits over here. We can get into these flight suits that just look like X-Men uniforms, but there's just the exact amount of flight suits that we need, and it's amazing.
And they fit everybody.
They're all in the right size.
And they all look good in it.
Yeah. It was. It's probably one of the worst movies that I've ever seen. When I was leaving the theater, I thought, you know, what was worse?
I thought it was fine.
Watching this movie or the new Fantastic Four movie? And, you know, honestly,
I don't remember that movie.
You didn't see it.
Oh, that's why.
I watched it on an airplane for free, and that was the only way I was going to watch the Fantastic Four because I was trapped. But it literally, it's on par with the new Fantastic Four, although I think the new Fantastic Four might be better. And I am not looking forward to seeing any more of these X-Men movies, you know, because we've gone from just, you know, I know fan favorites because they were movies and people were first getting comic book type films to you know, the best film in the series, to then crossing over the two genres together in the last film to just a total steaming pile of crap. If you want to throw away money, you are better served by just literally taking your $20 bill, rolling it up, and burning it before going to see this movie.
Yeah,
Also,
wait till it comes out on DVD or even
Netflix.
just.
why are you guys so
Free.
harsh? I thought it was fine.
So, if you're a teenage girl that likes Evan Peters as Quicksilver,
Oh, you'll like it.
you may want to spend money on this for a matinee. But that's enough.
What is matinee?
the early version, the early showing
Cheaper
of the movie,
version,
cheaper.
yeah.
So anyhow, that's our review. Any other comments?
No, that's about it.
Anything from you?
No.
Gonna go back to sarcastic smile. I have one joke that's not from the Jesse pun bucket. Why did
Do you want to go in my pun bucket?
Not yet. We're gonna save that. That's a good saving thing. But I have one from outside the pun bucket. Why did the Jedi cross the road?
I already know this.
To get to the dark side. Jesse's gonna laugh about that anyway.
Hey, but I
Anyhow.
can tell you a joke.
Okay, let's save this review with a joke.
Okay. Have you ever tried to eat a clock?
No.
It's very time consuming.
Okay. On that note, we're going to wrap this up. So thank you for all of your likes.
Your comments.
Your subscriptions.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.